Hello, all. This is sort of off the cuff. I'm Sally Knopp, and this is Miracles of Consciousness Radio. This is a video on a comment about another video I did about Nostradamus. And I wanted to share with you one of the comments that might be a little bit confusing. It was brought up on a video. Let me see if I can find it here. It was, who is the Antichrist and has the great genius won? I was merely posing the question. During QHHT sessions, we do begin to see patterns. And when you network with a bunch of QHHT practitioners, we begin to say, okay, what are you seeing? Is there a pattern beginning to develop? Dolores Cannon, early on in her work, began to see patterns evolve. So, of course, because we're trained by Dolores Cannon and QHHT, that's always natural to begin to see that. So I made a couple of videos. Has the Antichrist been seen? This was something that some of my people have brought to me, and we, out of curiosity, we began to look. So there has been a shift in the timeline. However, there's always that person who is in disagreement with you, and that's okay. We're supposed to talk about stuff and disagree. And I'm cool with disagreement. You don't have to agree with me. Go do your thing. It's all right. I could be wrong. I say that in all videos. But I'm just reporting as a QHHT practitioner and also a remote viewer what we are beginning to see emerge on the world stage. Where's the Antichrist? Who is the great genius? I made the leap by saying that I myself, as well as many of my clients, when we do this work, we're beginning to feel that the great genius has actually moved up in the timeline, and that is actually Elon Musk. Part of the markers that Dolores talked about with the great genius is someone that is able to develop computer technology that can go in like the biocomputers. And we know that he's doing this. He's talked about planting chips in the brain. And of course, that's got positive and negative connotations. Anytime that you advance society, there's going to be good and bad that can develop from both. Bad, you don't want cyborgs like in Star Trek, but good, the paraplegic can walk. So, and Elon Musk is kind of at the forefront of that technology. And he's talked about moving his consciousness into computers. So, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. The man is super smart. Is he the great genius that Nostradamus talked about? Well, you'll have to do your own research and sort that out for yourself. But from our standpoint, from a QHHT practitioner standpoint, there are many of us who see as Elon Musk is the great genius. Now, it is interesting. I will note that on my video, a comment was left. Elon Musk is not the great genius. Nostradamus said he would be born in the middle of the 21st century. I have the conversations with Nostradamus, volumes 1 through 3. And I thank the guy for leaving that comment because it's valid and concerning. And when, you have the material and yet what we're getting is different from what was in the material, it can be confusing. However, I do have, let me get back over to, all right, so I wanted to read that to you. I'm going to share with you an important conversation on open minds. And it is Nostradamus and Dolores Cannon with Julia Cannon. And it's on Open Minds on Gaia.com, Season 5, Episode 54. I recommend that you go see it. I'll try to leave a link for you in the description box below. But I do want to share this with you because Julia talks about how that timeline shifted and where they got the confirmation. I had forgotten completely about this. So I had to kind of go dig for it. And then I found it because I thought it was so important to The author of that comment is one of many. And, it's okay. He can believe that. It's cool. We're cool with that. But it is interesting that we are finding a lot of this. So let me get shifted over here and do a screen share without further ado. Okay. And I'll just have you watch this with me and we'll go over it together. It's so fascinating. And I kind of was tickled pink, that my clients are coming up with this as well as what I'm getting in my remote view. So in a way, I have this giddy excitement going on. But here, let's listen.
I think this is how it worked for most people.
Right.
But then there were people along the way that your mom would work with because they were so lucid. When she realized, oh boy, this person's really bringing stuff through. And she had certain people like that, not just random people that were giving information.
Well, or they went to a certain point.
Yes.
They had like someone that was a student of Nostradamus, and that was an assignment.
I remember that story.
That was
have all
specific.
those books.
Yes, that was a very specific assignment. That was very early on in her work too.
And for people that don't know about that, your mom was doing her normal hypnosis, and when someone said, "There's a guy here. He's dressed from times past called Notre Dame, and all this, trying to figure it out." And they finally figured out who this person was, and he said, "They have not adequately interpreted the quatrains I left behind."
Yes.
So you're doing it.
Yes, I have an assignment for you.
Yes. That was absolutely fascinating. Very interesting reading those quatrains as well. Yeah, speaking of which, have you read those recently at all?
Not recently.
Yeah, so I'm not going to question you on that because there are a couple things kind of surrounding this period of time.
Right. The biggest thing about that, she and I will address that.
Okay.
She kind of what it looks like is. It looks like, and what I got etherically in a vision is that we went on a different timeline. So we actually did change the course.
You need to say more about that.
Okay. Because that's what they said. That's what he said. If I show you the worst thing that can happen, the worst thing that man can do, will you do something to change it? That was all he was trying to accomplish. That was why he wanted her to do this. And by showing, then we changed the course. Mission accomplished.
Okay, so now when did you get that confirmation that the course was changed?
About 5 years ago.
Oh, okay. Now that's fascinating. And you know what's interesting?
So 5 years ago from that point, this was just a couple of months after her mother had passed away. And Dolores passed away, I believe it was October of 2014. And Julia said about 5 years ago. So they got that confirmation in 2009. And the Nostradamus books were published. I mean, it was a period of time that they worked on it. I believe there was at one point, I heard Dolores say in class, they worked on that series close to 10 years because there were several people that she actually worked through. But those books were published, volumes 1, 2, and 3, around 1989. So there's a big gap between 1989 and 2009. And we are definitely seeing that there has been an actual shift that maybe by her publishing those books when she did, we all became aware of what they call the Antichrist and how we can take charge of our own emotions, which is critical. If you want to change the narrative that's really ugly and negative, remember, anything that you focus on with your attention and intention can exponentially grow. What you project out, you will receive back. So if you're putting out negativity, you're actually giving these darker forces more food. But those books, they did change me. And I'm sure they changed many of you that have read them. It's like, wow, there's so much that we can learn through going into a guided meditation, doing remote viewing. Consciousness is so interesting. We learned so much. What are the possibilities? And when you start down that understanding of how thoughts create reality and imprint the quantum field, you now begin to understand why it was important for Dolores Cannon right now, to get her books published and to get the material out as accurately as possible, and why you can talk to anyone, anywhere in time and space. Think about that. Nostradamus came through to Dolores Cannon to get the bastardized, I can't say the word, interpretations corrected. So we had a better understanding of what he actually meant. Remember, he was writing in a time where you could be burned at the stake for even suggesting any of this stuff. So if he made it entertainment and just, poetry that made no sense, well, but it does make sense when you reflect back and the way they went about and in years of teasing this out, and why those texts stand and why those texts were actually quite important. So from my standpoint as a QHHT practitioner, volumes 1, 2, and 3 are really worth going into. I'll try to leave a link in the description box below also for you to purchase those books. But understand, timelines can shift. And she said that all the way to the end. And apparently, Julia Cannon believes that the timeline shifted. So things can speed up. You must not always think that things are so written in stone. For those of you who question this, remember, anything that is, quote, seen in the energetic field, it can be changed. That's why if you go to a psychic, you can either make whatever is seen happen directly or indirectly, or you can avoid certain things from happening. Timelines can shift. And Julia talks about this in the book, in Gaia.com, Open Minds. And it is season 5, episode 54, Nostradamus and Dolores Cannon with Julia Cannon. I encourage you all to go look at that entire video. It is very interesting. And it was right after Dolores did cross over to the other side. Fascinating video. Anyway, I hope that answers the gentleman who posted that question, because I do get it. And you know what? Hey, we're supposed to discuss this stuff. This is why discussing our differences are so important. Let's keep it respectful. And remember, there are many perspectives out there. But I hope this answers his question. I hope he will watch this. And hey, raise some more questions. We're good with that. Anyway, hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss another upload, because we got more woo going on. And we're going to be discussing things that are too hot for fluff tube. But when that happens, I will leave a link in a short so you can find it, or a video. So, or you can go on to sallyknop.com, and I'll leave a link there for all videos that are too hot for fluff tube. Woo, we're going to get into it. And there's going to be a lot of people who don't like what I have to say. But hey, it's okay. It's all right. It's all cool. Take care.